What is a drone for? Okay, it's a little camera which I can fly. So it's a flying camera. Why would I want to fly my camera? Well, the obvious thing is I want to get a camera high into the air. Actually, that's all it's about. It's about getting a camera in a place where you couldn't normally get one. Now, I personally think that the drone revolution has gone nuts. When creating a story, you want a wide establishing shot, then you might want a medium and close-up, and then you want very close-up. So you go wide, you're establishing, you're telling your audience, this is where they are. Beautiful. Okay. And then you get in a bit closer and then you get into the detail of the story, the detail of the tree bark, the birds, remember all that sound, that beautiful sound, and all the detail of somebody telling a story and they're doing something with their hands, and you want all that detail and that meat, that substance of a story. These do not give substance. What they do is they are superb establishing shot machines. So you can do a wow shot. For example, I did some of my best drone work last year on the Canning Stock route in Australia, and there was this lake, the Salt Lake. It was just flat white surface, and I wanted to say empty immense. Those are the words that I wanted to create. The drone was beautiful for that, because all I wanted to do was to say those two very simple things. No detail, just immense space. That particular shot, I walked out, set it down, flew it this far above the ground, and I turned on an orbit function. And some of these, the DJI really are kind of ahead of the game when it comes to these drones. They're making some really beautiful products. And I told it to orbit me, and I had the controller in my hand, and I actually just told it to go as fast as possible, full forward speed around me. But I left it this far off, and I did a whole 180 degrees around me, and I then pushed the up button. So in other words, it was continuing to show me, but it then climbed. And then eventually there was a shot of me with just white and just me as a dot. That to me is a really good use of a drone, because when I looked at that shot, it was, oh wow, it so said the words emptiness and space. It was exactly what I wanted. That's what a drone is good for. I think that there is a current overemphasis on the use of drones in storytelling. A drone shot after drone shot after drone shot, because, you know, it was okay a few years ago when drone shots were very unusual, and an aerial shot like that was very unusual. But I think it's becoming a bit overdone, and I think it's actually now starting to detract from storytelling. Because you get one wide shot establishing a vehicle's running along a track. That's great. Why would you run it for 10 whole seconds? I don't know. I just feel that they're being overused. Sometimes they're getting shots, yes, that you cannot get in any other way. But how is that contributing to the story? Sometimes it's detracting from the story because it's becoming dull. It's becoming overused. So my advice is, when using drones, you want two things. You want something that is fast to set up. Some of the very expensive drones will give much better pictures than this. This camera is not particularly good. I find it in bright sunlight. I find the picture quality, it blows the whites out. It's not great, but it does tell that, as it did in that circle around me on the salt pan, that it does enable one to get a unique perspective you can get in no other way. So I'm not detracting from it. I'm not saying don't use drones. I'm saying don't rely on drones. So ease of setup, because when you see, whoa, man, the light, the sun, oh yes, get into the air now. I can get this into the air clearly within about 3 minutes. I'm in the air. The bigger drones, the more complicated drones, yes, will give me a much better picture, better image. Yes, I agree. But how long do they take to set up? Much longer to set up. So again, it's a compromise. Am I prepared to compromise on video image quality for the sake of convenience, speed, and getting the story? Yes, I am. And that's why I use, this is not a great photographic drone. It's a very amateurish drone in terms of the image quality. But the image quality is quite good. It's good enough. So there's the balance when choosing a drone. Is my priority picture quality, or is my priority storytelling? If my priority is storytelling, go simple. If I'm just into just beautiful, beautiful images, and these are primary to what you're doing, aerial shots, then of course you're going to look for the best possible picture quality. To conclude, when I'm teaching people using cameras to tell stories, I talk about the 4-second rule. That means that any shot needs to be at least 4 seconds for it to be usable in a storytelling scenario. For example, if I've got a still camera and I'm pointing it at my subject and I'm rolling video, a still photographer will often tend to move away very quickly because in their brain it's click, click. Each exposure is 1/100th of a second or 1/500th of a second. And I actually try and teach them to turn that into as if it's, hold the camera really, really still, as if it's a time exposure. A really static shot is very, very useful for video storytelling. Video cameras don't need to move. They can often just sit there and see the action happening in a still frame. And that's why I talk about the 4-second rule. Having 4 seconds of perfectly still footage is really, really useful to the storyteller in the edit suite. But when it comes to drone, it's not 4 seconds. And believe me, I've gone down this road. Learning how to fly drones and actually take the footage into my edit suite, and I realize half the time I didn't get a shot. It looks good, but I didn't get a usable shot because not only did I not follow the 4-second rule, but I've adapted that for drones. I call it the 10-second rule. Fly, get a position, get your opening shot, compose your shot right, and sit there and do not touch the controls at all for a minimum of 10 seconds. And I beat myself up still today. Every time I go into my edit suite, I think to myself, why didn't I keep that shot? It's so beautiful. It doesn't need to move. Why didn't I keep it there for 10 seconds? So, frame up your shot, hold it there, take your fingers off the controls and count to 10, no less. Then move. When you get to the final shot, maybe turn the camera around, recompose, and do not move the camera for at least 10 seconds. Because I believe that when a drone moves, drones are wonderful for tracking, for orbiting, they're fantastic. However, the moment a drone camera moves, you're actually saying to your audience, hey, I'm a drone. Not always good for storytelling, sometimes quite detracting. But a static shot that doesn't move at all you've done is you've taken your camera and you've put it 200 feet into the air and you've got this incredible shot. Leave it there unmoved for 10 seconds and you will find the percentage of your usable footage from your drone flying will increase exponentially. Thank you for watching.